Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to today's explainer. If you're operating in the DTC e-commerce space, you already know the drill, right? The industry is completely obsessed with tracking every single click, conversion, and top-line dollar. But what happens when the very foundational numbers you're relying on to measure your success are actually pointing you in the completely wrong direction? Our focus today is laser sharp. We're unpacking exactly why profit beats revenue every single time and how focusing on the wrong side of that equation creates a really dangerous illusion of growth.
So let's kick things off with a quote straight from our source material that really hit me. LTV is one of the most frequently misapplied numbers in DTC. I mean, let that sink in for a second. We're talking about LTV here, one of the absolute holy grails of e-commerce metrics. Founders and marketers literally base their entire quarterly strategies on this single acronym. But this quote, it's a massive warning sign. It suggests that the very numbers we trust to tell us if our business is healthy might actually be deceiving us. It raises a pretty uncomfortable question. If we're misapplying this number, what are we actually building our businesses on?
Just so we're all on exactly the same page, let's look at customer lifetime value, or LTV. The standard playbook defines it as the total revenue a brand expects from a single customer across their entire relationship. Sounds perfectly simple on paper, doesn't it? You track how much a customer spends over time and boom, you use that to justify your acquisition costs and forecast growth. But here's the catch. This simple little calculation is shaping massive budget decisions, retention strategies, and sometimes entire growth models for a company. And that is exactly where things start to get, well, incredibly complicated. Picture this. You're running a brand and you spend $80 to acquire a new customer. Sure, on day one, that might sting your margins a bit, but you check your LTV dashboard and it's telling you this specific customer is going to spend $300 with you over the next 2 years. Suddenly, that $80 acquisition cost looks like an absolute steal. The logic seems completely bulletproof, right? Spend 80, get 300 back. I mean, who wouldn't take that deal? You'd probably turn around and tell your marketing team to scale up ad spend immediately. But what if that $300 is a total lie? Or actually, maybe mirage is a better word. Now, what's really interesting about this is that we have to pivot hard here and question the absolute validity of tracking top-line revenue. Because that $300, that just represents gross revenue. It's just the money passing through the checkout cart. It absolutely does not represent the money actually staying in your bank account. Relying purely on that top-line number creates a massive blind spot that can literally derail a growing business. In that $300 revenue mirage, it usually gets completely destroyed by 3 hidden saboteurs: returns, churn, and margin erosion. The source material points out something absolutely crucial. LTV becomes a genuinely dangerous number when you calculate it on revenue alone, without accounting for these specific margin-killing realities across repeat orders. If you're only looking at the revenue generated, you are completely ignoring the massive operational costs that kick in the second that checkout button is clicked.
Let's walk through a real-world example to drive this home. Imagine a customer who buys from your store 4 times. On your revenue dashboard, this person looks like an absolute VIP. They're driving that LTV number sky high. But let's peek behind the curtain at the financial reality. What if that customer returns 2 of those 4 items? And what if their 3rd and 4th orders only happened because you spammed them with aggressive 30% off discount codes? Suddenly, the whole narrative flips. This customer is generating far less real, tangible value than that top-line LTV figure initially suggested. After you factor in shipping, processing, returns, and those heavy discounts, you might actually be bleeding money on your so-called best customer.
So the crucial point here is the distinction between repeat revenue and repeat profit. Now, the metric of LTV isn't inherently evil or wrong. The problem, as our source highlights, is that most brands are measuring repeat revenue. But repeat revenue and repeat profit frequently point in entirely opposite directions. If your revenue is spiking because you're heavily discounting, but your profit is tanking because of returns and margin erosion, well, your business is shrinking, not growing. This is the absolute core of why profit beats revenue. Revenue is vanity, profit is sanity. Optimizing just for repeat revenue might just be a fast-track ticket to bankruptcy.
So how on earth do we fix this massive blind spot? Well, this is where a tool called 7Capture enters the picture. Think of it as the ultimate analytical lens for true profitability. If you've ever pulled your hair out because ad platforms are feeding you these wildly optimistic numbers, but your bank account is telling a very different, very sad story, this is the solution. The whole goal here is to completely shift your focus away from that misleading ad data and move toward real, unvarnished bottom-line visibility.
It's about ripping off the rose-colored glasses of top-line revenue and staring at the hard, objective truth of your profit margins. Let's pop the hood and break down exactly how this works. The source material outlines the specific mechanics 7Capture uses to find the truth. Step 1 is absolutely vital, applying a 30-day lag for returns. Look, ad platforms claim a massive win the exact second a purchase happens, right? But 7Capture pulls real return data from your Shopify or WooCommerce store on a 30-day delay. Why? Because returns take time. A campaign might look like a total home run on day 1, but if 40% of those items come back 3 weeks later, yeah, it was actually a failure. Step 2 incorporates cost of goods sold, or COGS, down to the exact SKU level. And Step 3 reconciles those hidden, painful monthly costs like fulfillment fees and payment processing tiers. It basically takes all the messy reality of running a business and bakes it directly into your analytics.
Now, this requires a pretty massive paradigm shift. Standard ad platform ROAS is based purely on attributed revenue. It's that moment of purchase hype that Meta and Google really want you to see. But true ROAS, that reflects actual profitability after the COGS, the delayed returns, and the processing fees are all completely deducted. It's the harsh difference between what the ad platform claims it made you and what actually ended up in your business's bank account. It proves, mathematically, exactly why optimizing for profit beats optimizing for revenue. And this brilliantly illustrates the ultimate goal, shifting to the true bottom line. When you use true ROAS, you finally have an accurate way to evaluate your strategies. You know that campaign selling low-margin items that Meta keeps telling you is performing phenomenally well? Well, now you can see if it's actually just bleeding your business dry. Or those heavy discount codes you rely on to pump up end-of-month revenue numbers. You can finally evaluate what they actually bring to the business in terms of sustainable profit. Basically, you are no longer flying blind.
It all distills down to this single, incredibly powerful directive. Stop optimizing for top-line revenue. Start optimizing for true profit. It is officially time to abandon the illusion that gross revenue equals business health. The source material makes it crystal clear that as long as we keep treating revenue as the ultimate finish line, we're going to keep falling victim to those hidden saboteurs of margin erosion and churn. True profit is literally the only metric that guarantees your business will actually be here tomorrow.
Which leaves us with this final, critical thought to chew on today. Look at your own dashboards. Look at the numbers you're reporting to your team or your investors. Are you staking your brand's entire growth model on a metric that's measuring the wrong direction? Because if you're relying purely on standard LTV and ad platform ROAS, the answer might be an uncomfortable yes. It's time to rethink your approach to analytics, dismantle the illusion, and discover your true ROAS. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I highly encourage you to take a hard look at your own metrics with this fresh perspective. Catch you next time.